Let's bring in now Gene Rossi. He is a former assistant U.S. attorney and federal prosecutor. He's currently an attorney at Carlton Fields here in Washington. Thank you so much for joining our program today.
My pleasure.
Gene, let's put this all in perspective. We mentioned how unique this situation is for a former president to be indicted. What does that say about the seriousness of these charges?
Well, I have to say I'm a little bit sad. Everybody has respect for the office of the presidency, regardless of the individual. And I'm kind of sad that the ex-president is facing these charges, although I do think that the charges apparently are well-founded. What do I think about the indictment? I think it's going to be a trial that will last probably 2 to 3 weeks. The trial may not occur for about 1.5 years. You're going to have a ton of motions to dismiss, motions to change venue, motions for selective prosecution. So it's going to be a long slog before we get to the trial. But the last point I do want to make is Donald Trump loves to be in control. He loves to set the theme. His appearance today and the hours before today proved my point. But when you are in a court of law with a judge in a controlled environment, it makes the most rambunctious defendant and voluble defendant be very quiet and polite. So that's something that Donald Trump is not used to.
Definitely a different side of Trump that we've seen. I want to talk about these charges, the specifics of which have been sealed up until now. We still don't know specifically what they are, but what do you think President Trump is facing these 30-some counts, and how strong do you believe this prosecutor's case is, and how likely will there be a conviction down the road?
Well, I haven't seen the indictment yet. I just saw a little summary that somebody posted on Twitter. I saw counts relating to tax evasion. So let me focus on that. I represented Stormy Daniels' former attorney before she hired Michael Avenatti. And I can't divulge attorney-client privilege, but I can say, based on the public record, that my former client was cooperating with the federal prosecutors on various issues. And I will say this. I have said from the beginning, way back in 2018, that Donald Trump and his corporation, if not his personal return, may have taken deductions allegedly relating to these payments. If that is the case, whether it's his corporation or him personally, those deductions will be easily proved to be false, because you cannot pay a porn star to keep quiet and then claim it as an ordinary and necessary business expense. You don't need to be an accountant or a lawyer to realize that is against the law.
Gene, surprisingly, Trump can still run for president despite being indicted, and even if he is convicted down the road. Can you explain, under our Constitution here in the U.S., why that is?
Eugene Debs in 1920 was convicted of, I think, sedition back in the day. He was a socialist, and he ran for president several times. He ran for president after he went to trial and was convicted, and he was serving time in a federal penitentiary. And I think he got almost 1 million votes, or he got a lot of votes. But he did run for president of the United States after he was convicted and serving time in prison. And the reason is this: the Constitution doesn't prohibit it.
Well, our last question, I want to just point out, you talked about the supporters of Trump that are out there at the courthouse. What do you think this indictment will do for his campaign as president? Will it hurt him or will it help him?
In the primary, it's going to be rocket fuel. It's going to energize the MAGA base, the people who love Trump. Remember this, Francis. Way back in the day, I think it was 2015, Donald Trump said at a press conference, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they would still vote for me. As a matter of fact, if he did shoot somebody, his supporters would say it was as an act of self-defense. They love him. They love him to death. And I think this, in the short term, in the primary, it will help him. In the long term, in the general election, I think this is very bad for him.
Gene Rossi, thank you so much for your expertise today. Good talking to you.
Thank you.